and welcome back to the FSS Football channel and another episode of Premier League Preview. Now, before we get into this week's fixtures, let's look at last week's. There was no real shocks this week, unless you want to include the 2-0 Southampton win against top of the league, Everton. Obviously, this is Everton's first defeat of the season. And Southampton thoroughly deserved to win the game. They're the better team. Digne obviously did get sent off for this challenge. I think it's a ridiculous red card, to be honest. If anyone that plays football knows, Digne has not meant to do that. Digne chased him back, and as unfortunately just accidentally stood on his ankle or back of his calf, his Achilles. That's what it is. He hasn't meant to do it, and I think it's really, really harsh that he got sent off for it. But apart from that, all results are pretty much as you expect it. Maybe, actually, if you're looking at it, Manchester City not being able to beat West Ham is a bit of a shock. But although West Ham have been pretty good this year against the top sides, they obviously beat Leicester 4-0, drew 3-3 with Tottenham last week, which was an incredible result for them. And obviously this week they got that 1-1 draw. And I think that right back Kufal has been absolutely brilliant for him since coming in. I think he's been a really, really good signing. Anyway, let's get into this week's fixtures. Wolves versus Crystal Palace. Crystal Palace come into this game one above the height and are one goal. Well, that is thanks to one goal. And Crystal Palace will believe they can push on and make that 3 points difference. I think Crystal Palace haven't been as good as some of their results have suggested, but at the same time, I think they've been better than I expect them to be at this season. Crystal Palace have won 3 games this season out of 5, including a fantastic win at Old Trafford on the second game of the season, and obviously Manchester United's first game of the season. Wolves, on the other hand, haven't started the season as they would have liked, dropping points to a poor free kick in the Newcastle game last time out after what was a really, really, really poor refereeing decision to give the free kick in the first place. I don't think it was ever a free kick. But I think Rui Patricio probably should save the shot. But alas, he didn't. But I think, like I said, Wolves won't be happy with how they've performed so far this season. I think they will put it right in this game, and I think they will win it. And I'm going to go for a 2-0 Wolves win. Sheffield United versus Manchester City. Both teams here have had a quite disappointing start to the season. Sheffield United find themselves They find themselves 19th, joint bottom, really, with Fulham and Burnley. However, goal difference is keeping them 19th. And yeah, Sheffield United will be really disappointed with their season. And I feel like it's a bit of the same thing that cost them last season. They don't have a striker. You can be as good as you want defensively in midfield. Obviously, they lost, is it John Egan for the season, which is obviously a massive miss. So defensively, they're not as good. Obviously, Dean Henderson is also not there anymore, and they've got Aaron Ramsdale, who I never thought was that great at Bournemouth. So I was a bit surprised when they signed him. But obviously they did. So they've lost 2 big defensive players for them from last season, and they still don't have a proper striker. Obviously, they've signed Ryan Brewster from Liverpool, who could be the real deal. Obviously, he was on loan at Swansea last year and played quite well after January. So they'll be optimistic he can hopefully find form and start scoring goals. But at the same time, they had Ollie McBurney. Well, they do have Ollie McBurney, I should say. He was at Swansea and performed quite well, but obviously never cut the mustard hasn't really cut the mustard at Sheffield United. But Manchester City also haven't started amazingly. They've dropped too many points for their liking, but Man City will find form again. And obviously, we still haven't seen that partnership of Ruben Diaz and Aymeric Laporte in the Premier League so far, if memory serves correctly. Which, when we do start to see that partnership, they're just going to get better and better. And because of that, I can only see Manchester City getting better. And I think they're going to improve upon their last result and they're going to win today. What's the score going to be? I'm going to go for a 3-0 Manchester City win. Burnley versus Chelsea. And I feel like this is another game with 2 teams failing and falling behind expectations. Burnley find themselves in 18th which is not good enough for Burnley. Although they look like they're set to be taken over, which could be good for them. Hopefully they'll be able to spend more money, as that's been a massive criticism of their ownership, that they haven't spent money. What did they spend, like, what, 2 million this season on Dale Stevens, which isn't good enough. They lost a starter in Jeff Hendrick to Newcastle on a free, and they didn't really replace him, in my opinion. And Burnley are going to be in danger if they don't start pulling out results. I feel like Sean Dyche is a very good manager, and he's capable of turning this squad around, and will turn results around and improve them, and it needs to come sooner rather than later. When it comes to Chelsea, I'm really surprised about what's happening at Chelsea. Despite spending £222 million this summer, they look pretty bad. And I think it was on TalkSport. Oh no, don't get me started with TalkSport. That they were saying if Frank Lampard was going through what Mikel Arteta is, and like his run of games, and like the poor results he's been getting recently, he would be his job would be on the line, and he would get slated. Mikel Arteta and his Arsenal team are joint with Chelsea this season so far. I think Chelsea are just one place above them. Chelsea spent £222 million on Timo Werner, Kai Havertz, Ben Chilwell, Edouard Mendy, Thiago Silva. Obviously, I know he came in on a free, but that's it. So theoretically, that should be more money. And what? They got dominated by Brighton. Well, I know Man United did, but they got dominated by Brighton. Deserved to lose that game. Man United, they were awful. They played for a draw, and he gets nothing. There's no way. I just can't believe how far under expectations this Chelsea team are. This should be their year to win the league. They've signed so many players, and every other team have either started badly. Manchester City haven't been good at all. Liverpool have lost 3 centre backs, and what? They're like 8th. Sorry, they're 10th. Despite this, Chelsea will win, beat Burnley, and I'm going to go for a 2-0 win. Liverpool versus West Ham. Like I say, West Ham will have confidence going into this game at Anfield. They've got a good record against the top 6 teams and top 8 teams from last season this year. Beating Leicester 4-0, where they were fantastic. Drawing 3-3 with Spurs thanks to that last minute scream from Manuel Lanzini. Brilliant again. And obviously they drew 1-1 with Manchester City last week, which was a very, very good performance. And team performance, which is what David Moyes is clearly trying to get into that team, that you play as a team and you will get results. Something else as I've also briefly mentioned, Liverpool have got 3 major centre-backs out. Well, when I say major centre-backs, I mean major. Virgil van Dijk is injured and will be out for the rest of the season. Fabinho, who's been playing centre-back, is injured and will be injured for a couple months. Not months, a couple weeks. I think he's out for a month, in fact. And Joel Matip is a similar story. Joe Gomez hasn't been playing amazingly well. He's in poor form. And now they're going to be having to play a really inexperienced centre-back or someone out of position at centre-back. They are in trouble now, Liverpool. They really, really are in trouble. And I think teams will be not licking their lips, but sort of licking their lips and like, if this is the time to play Liverpool. However, I'm going to go for a Liverpool win here. I'm going 2-1. Aston Villa versus Southampton. Now, just like Everton, Aston Villa also faced their first defeat of the season thanks to a Patrick Bamford hat-trick for Leeds, as they ran away 3-0 winners at Villa Park. Southampton have also turned around their form since the start of the season and find themselves in 7th, and they're looking back to their best. They have looked brilliant so far. Well, they've looked brilliant recently, and they'll look to push further up this table. And I think they'll get some more points on the board. However, I don't think it's going to be 3 points. I think it's going to be a 1-1 draw. Newcastle versus Everton. Now, I'm going to keep this one really, really short. Newcastle are awful. Everton are very, very good. Of course, Everton are still going to be without players. Digne suspended for this game. James Rodriguez apparently has an injury to his manhood. So, I hope he's alright. And Richarlison's obviously suspended due to his foul on Thiago in the Merseyside derby. However, they've got Dalton Calvert-Lewin, who's been absolutely incredible this season. And I feel like Everton are going to win this game pretty comfortably. I'm going to go 4-0 Everton win. Manchester United versus Arsenal. Now, of course, I will be doing a match preview of this match for Sunday. So check that out at 12 o'clock on Sunday if you want more details about this game. However, I do think Manchester United will win this game. And Manchester United are going to win this game 2-1. Spurs versus Brighton. Spurs, they've looked brilliant in the Premier League. Harry Kane looks absolutely back to his best. And in fact, he looks at the best he's ever looked. He's been absolutely outstanding this year. And you have to give credit to Jose Mourinho for that. He had his doubters, and I was certainly one of them when he went to Spurs. I said, look, he'll create enemies. He's a born winner. Is he still that manager he was when he took over Chelsea for the first time? No, I don't think he is that good anymore. However, can he find some of that magic and become that winner he always used to be? And I think he slowly turned this Tottenham team into that. Obviously, if you watch the documentary, he said how you can't be nice on a football pitch, and Spurs are becoming that. They're not nice. I saw a stat earlier. They commit the second most fouls in the Premier League this year. So they're not soft. They know how to give a tactical foul away, and they know how to play football. Brighton, on the other hand, they commit the most fouls, and I think Brighton, the table is very unfair to them. I think they've been very good this season. I feel like they've dropped points when they haven't deserved to. For example, Manchester United and Chelsea, Brighton were the better team in both them games, but obviously they lost both thanks to a Bruno Fernandes penalty after the final whistle, which is obviously I've got a match watch along for that on the channel if you would like to go and watch that. Link will be, the video will be on the channel and in the watch along playlist. However, I don't think Brighton have enough to win this game. I think Spurs and their quality will pull through, despite the fact they have lost to Antwerp 1-0 today. Spurs are going to win this game, predicting a 3-1 Spurs win. Fulham versus West Brom. Now, I think it's an absolute disgrace. This game is a pay-per-view. You have to pay £15, 15 Great British pounds to watch this game. If you watch it live, you have to pay £15. That is an absolute disgrace. And because of that, I'm hardly going to say anything about either teams. Both teams are bad. West Brom are probably the better of the two crap sides. West Brom are going to win the game 1-0. And finally, we have Leeds United versus Leicester City. I'm a big fan of both these managers, and I think this is going to be a real battle of tactics and systems. I think Brendan Rodgers has done magnificent work with this Leicester team. Obviously, they're playing in Europe this year for the second time ever, while Leeds have looked fantastic, and they are currently sat in 6th. There's only 2 points separating these two sides, so that theoretically they could swap sides depending on who wins this game. But I am going to go for a Leicester City win. I think the quality will just prevail, but I think it is going to be a very, very close game. And to be honest, it could go either way. Anyway, that is all for this week's fixtures. And finally, we just have to crown, award someone for the player to watch. And this week, it's going to be Everton striker Dominic Calvert-Lewin. I think Dominic Calvert-Lewin has looked fantastic this season. And like I said, they're playing Newcastle, which I think is the worst team one of the worst teams in the Premier League. Probably just about better than Fulham and West Brom. And I think they're going to be down there. And I think Everton look really, really good. And I think Carlo Ancelotti's doing what we all thought he could do. And that's make Everton a real contender and a real force in the Premier League. And they've looked amazing. And Dominic Calvert-Lewin has reaped the rewards from Carlo Ancelotti. And I can see him getting maybe even a hat-trick.
against Newcastle. But that is going to be it for today's Premier League preview. If you did enjoy, make sure you hit that like button below, subscribe down below, and I'll see you next time. Peace.